West Ham could save an absolute fortune this summer. Listen, I've been there, done that, wore the t-shirt with that comment. West Ham could save themselves a fortune this summer. West Ham could have saved themselves a fortune every summer for the last decade because the academy has produced quality players. Unfortunately, we've not necessarily given them the best pathway to the first team, unless you're at the exceptional, talented level that maybe Declan Rice was at. Now, that may bore you, me talking about that, but that seems to be where the academy is going. But again, the conveyor belt of Claret and Blue talent is coming off that conveyor belt and now knocking on the door of the first team. And there are several, but right now I think probably two West Ham Academy players that could save West Ham an almighty fortune. Now, with Julian Lopetegui coming into West Ham, Lopetegui, for all you people that are going to correct me all the time, it's widely expected that he is going to have some form of pathway to the first team for the academy. And he's got a big rebuild coming his way, considering our average age of our squad is really high, one of the highest in the Premier League. And David Moyes, by leaving, is definitely leaving a kind of unbalanced and particularly aging squad. And Lopetegui will have to come in and absolutely, redesign quite a lot of things that's happening at West Ham. And that's not going to be easy considering he won't have a huge amount of funds. I think he'll have a good whack of money depending on what money we earn. I think there'll be some money in the transfer kitty for him, but he could go about his business being reasonably clever. And what do I mean by that? Well, he could save himself a fortune. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, that means promoting within. Now, West Ham over the years have absolutely produced some incredible players. Players I don't even need to name to you. Not at all. But the Academy of Football keeps on churning these players out and out, time after time, and only a few couple of them get a chance. It's going to be such an interesting summer to see which of these players stick around at West Ham and are looking for that opportunity. But the first player I think we should talk about is none other than George Earthy. Here he is picking up his Mark Noble Young Hammer of the Year award from Mr. Mark Robson. Oh, and by the way, he's not the only one that picked up an award from Mark Robson. Big Anton, big centre half back in the day, played a charity football match with him. Gets man of the match, Mark Robson. There you go. Hope you enjoyed that one. Anyway, it's not about me. It's all about you, George Earthy. 19 years old and scored his first goal against Luton Town at the weekend, only on his third appearance. Now, he seems to be and is in very, very good form for the under-21s this season with 14 goals and 10 assists to his name. He can play in the wing or as an attacking midfielder, and he definitely looks like he is a player that can make it, from his cameo appearances at West Ham. I genuinely think he genuinely looks like a baller and definitely someone that can make that step up. And if we're being linked to players of that sort, for example, a player I spoke to you yesterday about, Steven Bergwijn from Ajax, then I probably, like you, would prefer for Julian Lopetegui to give George Earthy a real opportunity, use him and utilize him in pre-season and give him that opportunity to be able to bed himself into this squad and become a mainstay in this squad. God, could you imagine the youth academy really getting a pathway through to this first team? It would be fantastic. It really, really would be quality. And the next player to talk to you about, and I could sit here and talk to you about a few of them, but these two in particular, I think would be an option, is Freddie Potts, 20 years old, and he was unbelievable for Wycombe Wanderers, albeit, yes, it was in the lower leagues, but he really, really was an exceptional form for them, picking up their player of the season. There's been comparison to all different types of player, but it definitely looks like he has the talent. And to be honest with you, we think we saw that in the preseason last year. I think it was the right thing to do to go and give him a loan deal, but it looks like he can come into that midfield and he can put in a strong tackle. He's not scared to get involved in the game. He's got the energy and the athleticism in abundance. He knows how to pick a pass. He knows how he's clever on the ball. Players that we've been looking at that possibly could offer something similar would be something like Conor Gallagher, that you could value in and around 40 odd million quid. Save ourselves a fortune if we bed someone like Potts into our squad. But I think West Ham need to be giving these players a chance. And if they don't make the grade, then so be it. But there will be a squad player probably from one of the two minimum from these players. But the one thing I want to see is Lopetegui give these players an opportunity, especially in pre-season. Get them involved early doors. Make sure they feel that they're at home within this squad. Make sure they feel that they're the first team squad, first team players, and they're going to get game time and they're going to get chances. It's their chance to impress. It is their chance to impress. And as much as it's really tough in the Premier League for youth players to come through, and West Ham aren't the only team that don't do it. Nearly every team doesn't do it to the level that we expect. Other clubs in other countries do, and West Ham could set a trend. And I think it's time to look at these two particular players, George Earthy and Freddie Potts, and give them the opportunity. They're the two right now that I think that could make the step up on the basis of everything we've seen, everything that they've done, the way that they hold themselves into themselves accountability. And I don't see why you would send George Earthy out on loan next year, and I don't see why you would send Freddie Potts out on loan next year. The only way I could see that is if you involve them in pre-season, the training's not up to standards, and they're really getting lost in the training sessions. And listen, training sessions are really vital because I've been fortunate enough now to watch a couple, and collectively 2 days over the not summer there, but the summer before, and 2 days over the summer previous to that of West Ham training camp. And what you actually see is players that really struggle to get involved, youth players that really struggle to step up to that first team. And I'll give you one example: Mipu Odebiku. He was out of his depth by a million miles. Great in the youth setup, but out of his depth in the Premier League, out of his depth with the Premier League players. And in those two occasions and those two camps, we didn't actually even have a full-strength squad, but he still looked out of his depth. However, on the flip side to that, Piekwa was there and he looked like he stood out of the crowd. But what did we do? We sold him to Sunderland. So, anyway, the point I'm trying to make to you is these two particular players, George Earthy and Freddie Potts, definitely need to be transitioning into the West Ham first team squad this season. What do you think? Put it in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. And come on, you Irons.